the chairman, and members of the board of directors for both the radio and TV3, the mother company. Honorable Minister, my good son, independent broadcasters, I think that all protocols observed. I've had quite an amusing time sitting there. I looked at all the colors around me, and I saw the red, I saw the gold, I saw the green. And I said, I'm the black star, I'm the blackest man here. So that's why they put the colors there. Secondly, when I heard Petra Samoa referring to me as Her Royal Highness, I was sitting down there and having a good laugh. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, I had a simple call from a very special friend of mine. There are some friends that if they call you and you're on your deathbed, you will answer with your last breath. So he told me about this event, and I had no option. But then, thereafter, I had a beautiful letter, magnificent letter, from another young man, I don't want to mention his name, referring to me just like Petra, your Royal Highness, your High Office, all kinds of, inflicting all kinds of appellations on my poor body. I knew he was flattering me just to make sure that I crossed the prow with ease. But I really thank the young man for making me laugh, for really laugh for the first time, 2016. Your Majesty in Ghana 2016, this year. But let me put it this way. I was sure he was laughing with me whilst recollecting the hypocrisy of meaningless European and feudal titles in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe the humorous letter of invitation was really to help me break my New Year resolution, which, Honorable Minister, was that I wouldn't talk at all, most especially avoid the media wherever and whenever. You know, when you were talking, I was enjoying you because it's only the media that chiefs fear. And if big chiefs fear the media, then you can imagine a chief who has to cross many rivers to get to Accra. But for that reason, I would say it only when I'm in a very private discussion with some of my young men and women who are in the media. But it's just that I see the media as underwriting the cultural dominance, through the cultural dominance of this country and Africa, through its educational, television, film, and radio programs. From my perspective, the media in Africa has been a tool working to demolish Africa's heritage and value system. Certainly, it does scramble the African consciousness. And so, I see it more, not in terms of NDC, MPP, and so on and so forth, but more as a tool that propagates European culture in Africa, irrefutably. And I know the chairman agrees with me that our consciousness, the media is the I am industry, the consciousness industry, and I am is power. Awareness is power. It is the arm of the psychology, you know, and gives you, once you have the psychology, then you are in control. So as the Honorable Minister was talking about Radio Zoe, he gave the white man the psychological control over this space to work it and manipulate it in its interest. One of the people that I admire most is the late Malcolm X. And he says the media, the most powerful entity on earth, they have the power to make the innocent guilty and make the guilty innocent. And that is power. That's Malcolm. Your power lies in the fact, as he said, you control the minds of the masses. And no culturally conscious people, and I repeat, no culturally conscious people will allow such a powerful tool to be in the control of any system or any culture but their own. We all remember Steve Biko's famous maxim, the most powerful weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. Anytime that I listen to BBC, I know that they spend, I think, about 600 million euros a year on just the World Service. And interestingly, Africa is their biggest You know, the biggest audience, about 96 million Africans listen to it. Now ask yourself, why would the British government spend 600 billion euros every year on simply informing African people? Now let's move on, ladies and gentlemen. France spends 140 million euros on Radio France International, spends 80 million euros on France 24, and then spends about 63 million euros on TV5. French language and culture. It reaches about 55 million people weekly, largely Francophone Africa. Please, please, ask yourself again, why would the French government spend 273 million euros every year on informing African people? Therefore, for me, a conscious media should be used to protect the human-centered dignity and value system of the African. In fact, when I heard the beautiful sister sing, and when we were coming, they were playing Stand By Me. But it took my mind to the fact that all of the songs that you hear, the particular song that you hear the young men and women sing, and they love it. It's Bob Marley's Redemption song. But I ask myself, how many of us are aware of that we are at war, and that there's a war on our minds, and that there's a cultural war going on? If you're in the media and you're not aware, you might as well leave. Ladies and gentlemen, no vocation or profession demands such noble-mindedness, such a high degree of critical patriotism, such honesty, such responsibility. Me with that kind of news. But it takes my mind back to the fact that the kind of burden on a journalist or anybody who presents something on the radio, it's such that I urge the NMC as well as the GJA to look at the educational institutions, you know, that would bring out these kind of, turn out these, the people who control such power. It's so important. You do not leave such a vital tool in the hands of just anybody. It must be in the hands of professionals, those who are very conscious of themselves, of who they are, among other things. But interestingly, I should say that I hope this kind of thing inspires MG Radio, because one thing that I can say for TV3 is that so far they've done very well in terms of presentation, balance, as the minister was saying, objectivity, and so on. And we hope that kind of culture is imparted to 3FM. At the same time, too, ladies and gentlemen, we know that the traditional audience for news is changing because of the social media. And for this reason, professionals must even work harder to make sure that they guide what comes out. And for Ghana, from every direction, there's only one thing: Ghana first. I also urge Professor Gajapo and the board to make sure that they constantly give training to those who are the journalists and so on involved, so that they will always be raising their standards. After all, the media does not refer to the tools, but it refers to the human beings who use the tools. It is my hope that 3FM and Media General Limited as a whole impact our society, safeguard our cherished values, and make us relevant in the current social buzz. Thank you all, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much.